Okay, so let's see if we can get this video filmed before the kid walks in the door from school. Hey everybody, this is Kim from Middle of the Book March. Today's video is I'm going to show you my Middlemarch collection. Let me adjust here a little bit. There we go. Yeah. I was thinking about doing this for a little bit, and part of the video that I did about my personal library talked about what I believe a collection is, and do I believe I have some books lying around, or do I have a personal library, and what does a book collection mean to you? And for me, a book collection it doesn't need to be worth any money, although to some people that has something to do with it. But for me, a collection is exactly what it says, collecting some books for whatever reason, whether it's a series or I have several uncounted collections of books from the same author. So I don't know, I think actually no, that's not true. There are some authors that I don't have all of their works of, but I do have many. And some authors there's just too many, and I haven't finished collecting all of their books. But today's video is my Middlemarch collection, and I wanted to show you what I've gathered over the last few years. Since I've become to adore Middlemarch, I changed my channel name, and my channel used to be called K. Becker's Books, and it wasn't really creative at all. So I started the channel, and I needed something to name it, so that's what I put out immediately. And I thought, this is fine. I almost named it Becker's Books, but there's an actual bookstore, I think in Texas, called Becker's Books. So I didn't want to put that on YouTube and mix the two, no intermingling. But after a little while, once I finished Middlemarch and realized how much I just loved it and how it's become my favorite book, George Eliot has become my favorite author. And that's always been difficult for me to say because it's so hard to narrow it down. But after reading Middlemarch and after reading all of George Eliot's works, I don't know of any other book that will come near it. So let me show you the editions of Middlemarch I have collected. I showed you this one in my thumbnail. This is let me see, Alma Classics Middlemarch. It's an imprint of Alma Books from the United Kingdom. And this particular edition was published in 2010. And this is somebody wanted to interrupt. This is a very chunky, thick paperback copy. And it's a very pretty pink. Here it comes again. Get out of my way. It's a very pretty pink and kind of a warm yellowish orange color, and it's paperback. So for this large of a book, this particular copy has, I don't even know how many pages. It's got a bunch of notes. This isn't even one of the longest. It's going into the 700s, the mid 700s. However, the font is fairly compact, so it's a good edition to read because I can open it, and with paperbacks like this, I don't have any qualms about kind of bending the spines in order to get to the middle of a book. So I'm going to read just the blurb on the back. For any of you who have no idea what Middlemarch is about, the most ambitious narrative of 19th century realism, Middlemarch tells the story of an entire town in the years leading up to the Reform Bill of 1832, a time when modern methods were starting to challenge old orthodoxies. Eliot's sophisticated and acute characterization vividly brings to life the town's inhabitants, including the young idealist Dorothea Brooke, the dry scholar Casaubon, the young, passionate reformist doctor Lydgate, the flighty young beauty Rosamond, and the old eccentric banker Bulstrode, as they move in counterpoint to each other. Art, religion, politics, society, science, human relationships in all their complexity. Nothing is left unexamined under the narrator's microscopes. And I'm going to read this last sentence. one of the greatest novels written in the English language. Middlemarch is a literary landmark in its groundbreaking approach, as well as a priceless document of its age. 100% agree. She's home. You're being quiet. That's all that matters around here. If you want to start singing again, you can. Everybody likes that. So that is the story of Middlemarch, and George Eliot is known for being a realist in her fiction. Every single one of her books depicts English country life. Middlemarch is the name of the town, and I didn't even know that going into this book when I first read it a couple of years ago. But it is so filled with character interaction and character dynamics, making the connections between the varied characters and families in this novel. What I did also, as I started to read it, it helped enormously to go and do a little bit of research into the Reform Act of 1832. And this is my slipcased George Eliot Middlemarch edition. That's the spine, and this is the actual format of the book. But this is a Folio Society edition from 1972 with illustrations. So what's introduction by Kingsley Hart and drawings by Robin Jacques. And this particular edition was published in 1972, but plenty of illustrations throughout the book. And I always love these types of editions where they do have illustrations, and this one is, because of its realistic tone and themes, it's all usually of people or landscapes or that type of thing. Now this is a hardcover, but it's a easy to open hardcover. The pages lay flat, and the font is not too bad. But this one kind of, I don't know, I'd have to read at the table, and this particular version is over 800 pages. So, let's see, this is the Penguin Dropcap version of Middlemarch, and the E is for Eliot. The Penguin Dropcap hardcovers always have the monogram of the first letter of the author's last name. But this would probably be a good one to read. The font's not too bad. It is pretty compact in there, but it's a lot bigger in size. I am going to notice the font in every single version. And this is, you know, it stays open. Hardcover, it stays open. Probably a really good edition. I also love Modern Library. I have some hardcovers in the Modern Library versions of books, and this one I was attracted to this one because it has an introduction by A.S. Byatt. And if anybody doesn't know, if you buy Penguin Classics or Modern Library Classics, any classic with an introduction, bypass the introduction until you've read the book, because the introduction has spoilers. And even with classics, you know, obviously they've been around, some of them have been around for hundreds of years, but that doesn't mean I know the whole story of every classic. And so if I read an introduction and I get a spoiler, it's going to ruin the reading experience for me. One of my only complaints is this font looks like Courier New, and it's pretty small. I don't love it. And another pet peeve of mine is, if you can see, I don't know if you can tell, those two pages are right next to each other. One of the pages is very dark and the other one is much lighter. And that bothers me a lot, only because obviously the lighter font, the lighter printing on the paper is harder to read, but it's just kind of a glaring difference in the book. This particular edition was printed and published in the year 2000. This is the MacMillan edition, this tiny little classic volume, and it has gold on the edges. If you can see, here's more of my MacMillan editions, and one day I will show you this little collection, but this is just one of my George Eliots that I have in this version. I believe I also have Mill on the Floss. This little book goes into the 800s, the mid 800s for page count. It's extremely pretty. I've showed one of these versions on my channel before, but look at how beautiful this little book is. It's this kind of Tiffany blue color, and it has the ribbon bookmark, and of course the gold edges. It's just such a beautifully made book. And this particular version is unabridged, so it's not every one of the MacMillan Classics are, and I believe The Count of Monte Cristo, it being so long anyway, is an abridged version in these little tiny classics. And this is, you know, this is the type of book I could bring with me and put in my purse, because I always carry a purse big enough to fit at least one book. So this one, this has an introduction by Jennifer Egan. I'm not a huge Jennifer Egan fan, but hey, it's got some good cred right there. And this particular edition was published in 2007. What's my next one? This one is one of the most beautiful editions I have, and this is the Restless Books edition. Look at this, the gold foil and the artwork. This is the back of it. It's just the gold. Somebody told me, and this has an introduction by Rebecca Mead, who wrote My Life in Middlemarch. This is such a gorgeous book. Look at the title page. And look at the subtitle, A Study of Provincial Life. That's exactly what this book is about. It's the provincial life of the town called Middlemarch. And this particular version, I bought it last year. It was printed and published in 2021. This is Restless Books, is restlessbooks.org. It's a small publisher, and I forget, somebody told me, I think I saw it on Instagram, and it may have been Leo from A Little Book Life, I don't know, but I'm going to put his Instagram link down below anyway. Somebody told me you got to go out and look for this edition. It's just gorgeous. And I did, and I was extremely happy to find that it was done by a small press, and I wanted to support them. So this is one of the examples of the illustrations in this particular book. Let me find you another one. Oh, just, it's almost like it's a very modern, contemporary illustration of some of the characters and the events in this book. And I just think they're beautiful. So I was so happy with this purchase. And this is an actual, it's a really good one to read because it's a large paperback, but it's floppy and the print is a good size. This one clocks in at 754 pages. Depending on the edition that you buy, every page number is going to be different. I don't think any of the versions I have are abridged, and I typically don't look for, I don't want to buy abridged books, especially for a book this size. The version of The Count of Monte Cristo I read was the Penguin version, which was unabridged. Abridged books are shortened for readability, unabridged are the complete text, and I don't want a book that doesn't have the complete text. This one is my most recent Middlemarch acquisitions, and this is the 150th anniversary edition. And this is a UK book published by Vintage Books out of London, Vintage Classics. And this one has an introduction by Zadie Smith. I love Zadie Smith. But look at this hardcover. This is actually, I think I got this from Blackwell's online. And it's got some foiling, and it's just such a pretty edition of Middlemarch. That's the back. And I don't know if this is illustrated. I don't believe it is, but looky at how big that font is. I know it's really difficult to tell on video, but this is probably so far the book with the biggest font. And this is getting close to 900 pages. 889 pages. And it does not have any of the notes or the footnotes or anything in the back. So I think because of its size and because of the size of the font, that's why it has probably the longest or the most pages out of any of the Middlemarch versions that I have. Yep. So just so pretty. The last one I have is the one I fell in love with. This is the version that I read first. And it is the Harper Perennial Legacy Edition. This is the one. This is a floppy paperback with deckled edges and French flaps. So this is the one I read in it. I have highlights in here. I have, I hate using the little stickies because I just cannot use them very well. I don't like them. And it stays open. It's a floppy paperback. It stays open. This particular version I've already read, and the spine is cracked, and this is what I do to it when it's this thick of a book. This one is over 800, just over 800 pages, but it's probably the most readable. The font is not the most gigantic size, but it's easy to read, and it's very clear, all of that. So why am I bothering to show you? Oh, one other thing about this one, the introduction is by Francine Prose, which has gotten a lot of praise for her introduction of the book and the amount of information that she put into her introduction. Which I really enjoyed going back to read after the fact. That's what I kind of highlighted in the introduction. That's how interesting that was. So yeah, those are all of my editions of Middlemarch, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have been out there searching for an antique version of the book, and I have found many, but they've been in really rough shape, so I didn't want to purchase those. But there's some happiness in getting different versions, and it's because of when you have a favorite book and you find different versions that are pretty or easy to read, paperback and hardcover, different artwork, different format. It's all so much fun. One of the reasons I love these little babies is the artwork on the covers. And it's just fun. It's fun to, maybe consider reading a different version the next time I read Middlemarch. And I am hoping to have a buddy read with a very good booktube friend of a reread for me of Middlemarch next month. More details to come. So that's it for my collection of Middlemarch, my collection in a collection. And let me know if you think I'm nutty for buying so many copies. And if I ever see any other really good ones, I will probably pick those up as well. I might just have a bookcase just for Middlemarch. Certainly just for George Eliot. So this was fun. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.